Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the media. Thank you for joining us here this evening at the Orange County Emergency Operations Center. We are having a press conference on the latest with Hurricane Matthew. For the members of the viewing public, this is live broadcast on Orange TV and will be rebroadcast at a later date. It's my pleasure to introduce the Honorable Mayor Teresa Jacobs.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. As we have consistently said, that it is so important for everyone to take this storm very seriously. And if there's one thing that's certain about storms such as this, it's the uncertainty of their patterns and their strength. As we've recently learned, Hurricane Matthew is once again a Category 4 hurricane. And as of 5 p.m., the forecast for Hurricane Matthew calls for tropical storm force winds to begin here tonight in Central Florida at 11 p.m. We had earlier been anticipating that to happen after midnight. Hurricane force winds are expected to start tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. and last until 11 a.m. with peak winds up to 101 miles per hour at 7 a.m. Tropical force winds are expected to end by Friday evening at 10 p.m. The total duration of tropical force winds will be approximately 23 hours, a very long storm. In light of this, we have decided to impose a curfew from tonight, October 6th at 10 p.m. until Saturday morning at 7 a.m. And we are cognizant that we may have employers and employees that are at work. We will have in there a provision that for emergency personnel and life safety personnel and those people who are commuting to and from work, they will be exempt from this. But this curfew is intended to protect the life and safety of our citizens, and we're asking everyone to take it very seriously. You've heard me all day long talking about the need to plan around clearing our roads by 6 o'clock, and I'm very grateful to see that that has happened. By following the traffic patterns, it is amazing how much clearer our roads are, and it's extremely important because I have one major concern, and that still remains our mobile homes. We have shelters that are open. We have over 300 people in our shelters, but we still have, I suspect, a lot of people that are living in mobile homes that have not evacuated. There's still time, but there's not much time. We have 6 shelters. One of them is at capacity. That's Bithlow Park. And I want to make sure that anybody that is leaving their mobile home does not spend their time trying to get into Bithlow Park. Please go to one of our other 5 shelters: Odyssey Middle School, Apopka High School, Corners Lake Middle School, Timber Creek High School, and Barnett Park all have availability. Again, this is the time, if you're in a mobile home, to be leaving your house with your families and your medical supplies and your bare necessities and head to those shelters. I want to thank our first responders and our essential personnel who are not with their loved ones tonight. They are here. They are all throughout Orange County and our cities, and they are on call and on duty to serve the citizens of Orange County. But we want to make sure that they're not having to put themselves in harm's way to rescue people who are not making prudent decisions. So as of 6:30, it is pretty close to last call to make sure that you have taken the precautions around your property and for the safety of your family and loved ones. We also have sandbags. You have seen the tremendous turnout. We've distributed nearly 80,000 sandbags, and we consider that a pretty good indication that most people are taking this very seriously. Chief Drodes will be handling 911 calls overnight, and I'm going to ask him to speak for just a moment about the types of calls that are appropriate to make and their ability to respond based on weather conditions.
Good evening. To date, 911 calls have increased only 1.3% over yesterday across all public safety agencies within Orange County. So while we have the staffing to provide for the expected increase in calls, that hasn't happened today. And that's in part to the messaging and the critical nature of the storm and the messaging that you all have been putting out there. Now, as the storm progresses and winds get to 50 miles an hour sustained winds and gusts of 65 miles an hour, that is going to severely limit our ability to respond to emergencies. We will take the emergencies on a case-by-case basis, but the order will be given to stop responding at 50-mile-an-hour sustained winds. Now, we have much greater capability today than we did in 2004. So if there's 50-mile sustained winds on one area of the county and not the other, we will continue to respond in those areas where we can do so safely.
Thank you, Chief. And next, we're going to hear from Sheriff Demings. He will continue to discuss their role and particularly how they will deal with enforcing the curfew. Sheriff?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening to all of you. As the Mayor indicated, at 10 p.m. she signed an executive order now that there's a curfew that is in effect throughout Orange County, and that curfew will remain in place until 7 a.m. on Saturday morning. What that means for us is that we really need your assistance this evening to help get the word out. It's 6:30 or so now, so within the next 3.5 hours, it is our intent that individuals who are traveling on the roadways will no longer be doing that unless there's a specific need that is codified in the executive order. If the emergency service personnel, physicians, etc., who have a reason to be out and about, we certainly are going to facilitate those individuals traveling to and from their places of business. If there are other individuals who find themselves in a situation that was outside of their control, where they were not able to, because they didn't get the notice or what have you, or they got off from work at a time that did not allow them to get home in time to not violate the curfew, we are going to proceed with an abundance of caution to my deputy sheriffs and the other law enforcement officers here in Orange County to use some common sense and fairness in dealing with our citizens. It is not our intent to arrest individuals who just happen to be out and about and they have no criminal intent. So we are going to take care of our community during this process. I want you to be reassured of that. But it is a serious order. It is put in place to keep the individuals safe, to keep the other first responders safe, and at the same time prevent individuals who may want to prey upon innocent people who may have evacuated their homes during this process. So we have our patrols in place to make certain that people's homes and businesses aren't burglarized or vandalized by criminals. In terms of the shelters, we want to reiterate that it is a good idea for people who who live in high-risk type communities, mobile home parks, etc., to enter those shelters. They're safe places. We have deputy sheriffs and other law enforcement officers who are assigned to those shelters to make certain that it's a safe place for everyone to be there. So we're going to be riding this out for the next few hours. We're here to support our community who supports us so much as first responders and emergency service workers. So thank you all this evening.
And next, we're going to hear from the Manager of Emergency Operations for Orange County, Ron Plummer.
All right, thank you, Mayor. We just want to continue to reiterate, this is not a drill, this is an actual emergency, and we want everyone to ensure that the actions we've taken are serious and the actions we need you to take are just as serious. So we've asked everyone to stay at home in a safe place. In your homes, find a safe place. Again, we remind you, you will have your safety kit. You should have information to stay informed, whether it's a weather radio, listening to the news channel of your choice, and even having applications on your phone, your smartphones, with the OCFL Alert app that will provide information that you need. Again, this is a serious event. We want to take it as a serious event. We want everyone to get through this safely, and we want to see everybody on the other end when we get out of response and recovery. So thank you.
And before I open up to questions, let me also recognize that Commissioner Edwards has joined us. Commissioner Edwards represents District 5. While this storm will affect all of Orange County, the greatest brunt will be borne on the east side of Orange County, which Commissioner Edwards represents. And so we're pleased and very glad to have him here. He's been out visiting shelters today and is on call to help us with the recovery and repair efforts that we expect to happen beginning Saturday. And so now we'll take questions.
Mayor, Amanda Ober from Channel 2. I know earlier you said your biggest concern was people in mobile homes. How do we look in terms of getting their cooperation, evacuating, getting to shelters?
Absolutely. And we have some good news from Chief Drodes. Let's hear from Chief Drodes now regarding that specifically.
We've made a concerted effort to reach out, certainly on the east side. Everything east of Cimarron, there's approximately 54 mobile home parks, and we've been reaching out through voice messaging, text messaging. Today alone, we reached out to over 9,200 mobile home community members. And through the individual canvassing, we've spoken to about 80% of the mobile home residents that said they will evacuate. And if the numbers in the shelters are an indication of that effort, because the shelters are filling up, they're heeding the warnings. And for those that are staying behind, we just like to reiterate that we're here to ensure their safety, security, and survivability. And when they stay in structures that are not tenable during the type of conditions that we're going to experience around our community, they put themselves at risk. And if they choose to stay, they should call 311 and give us information for their next of kin, because this is a life-threatening emergency.
Mayor, why did you decide to enact curfew? That's different than earlier today. So
It
what
is.
was it?
Thank you. Earlier today, we were asking people to use their best judgment and to try their best to be off of the streets by 6 o'clock. As we saw the storm intensify and as we saw it speed up its path, it reinforced the idea that this is a very uncertain environment that we're in. And we felt the best move was to impose a mandatory curfew under the circumstances to make sure that people are taking this seriously. I think most people are, but it doesn't take very many people to be complacent about this to lose lives, and we want to do everything we can to avoid this. I've shared this with you before. I grew up in Miami, and I've been through a number of hurricanes, and I can tell you it's very, very easy to be lackadaisical about it, and it wasn't until we had one very strong storm, it was Betsy, that it scared my family and I to death. And so for anybody who is taking this lightly, it's probably because you have not been through a hurricane. You won't know until it's over just how scary it is. Please take my word for this. You need to be safe. You need to find that safe interior place in your home. You need to stay together as a family so everybody knows where they are. You need to stay away from the windows. The precautions you should have already taken, but right now what you need to do is make sure you found that safe spot in your house.
Mayor, I'm sure
Yes.
you need us with all of this. I spoke to people yesterday in Cocoa Beach where it's supposed to be really, really bad, worse than obviously in inland, who told me they weren't leaving. They're preparing their homes, they're buying generators, they're doing all the proper maintenance, but they're not leaving. How frustrating is that for you, knowing that the governor said earlier people are going to die because of the storm? How frustrating is it for you to get that message across that you need to evacuate?
Well, it's extremely frustrating. It's the reason that you've heard me talk at each of these conferences about people living in mobile homes, because, you know, I take my responsibility extremely seriously, and I feel like every one of those lives are partly my responsibility. And so it's important to me to do everything I can to make sure that people do what they can. There's a limit to how far we as government can go. And so I'm just hoping that people understand that, you know, it's a very serious situation, and they're going to, you know, they hurt more than themselves if something happens to them. And so if for no other reason than for their family and loved ones, and for me, I'm asking them, if you're still in your mobile home, please go to a shelter. Thank you.
Mayor, or Sheriff, what happens to the people who are caught out during the curfew and don't have a good enough excuse to get out?
If individuals are out during the curfew hours and they don't have a legitimate reason, they can't verify why they're out, they're going to be subject to arrest. We will do everything again to try to avoid those circumstances by asking people to heed the direction that we've given at this point. But that is the bottom line. They can be arrested. To protect everyone, to make certain that we don't have vandals out and about, that's what we're going to do until 7 a.m. On Saturday morning.
All right, any other questions? Thank you all again. Thanks for being here with us throughout the day and your continued coverage. You're part of the life-saving effort here. Thank you.
This closes the broadcast officially. Thank you.
Our regularly scheduled programming already in
911.
Yes, water is all in the house. The roof is completely caved in on us. We need emergency assistance, please.
Okay, man, we can't respond right now because of the condition of the hurricane.
All of our neighbors evacuated and everyone is gone. Please tell me what to do.
I'm in a wheelchair and water's coming in. Is there any way I might be able to get an ambulance to help me?
The roof is coming in on us. We're going to die in this house if we don't get some help.
Unfortunately, we cannot send anybody out in this storm right now.
Estamos actualmente bajo aviso